Hey, welcome everyone. Happy New Year. Um, if you haven't done it yet, I'll take about 10 seconds to complete that poll that we put up. We have 2 questions up there. Okay, great. So our first question, which was part of our challenge, was were you able to install Sottero on your computer? So it seems about half of you, 2 individuals were able to install it and 2 individuals were not. And then we asked how familiar you were with like a citation reference management software. So we asked how familiar you are with citation reference management software. It seems that most of you are somewhat familiar with reference management software. So we're going to move forward with the presentation, everyone. So if you are in your office, and if you haven't had a chance to install Sottero, just have a browser ready because we'll kind of be going through the process pretty quickly, but just you might be able to follow along. So the reason we decided to do this tech talk today was because we wanted to we've received some requests from our managers regarding how to manage all the articles that come in. Give me one moment here. Let's make sure that I'm correctly set up here. Okay, so we're gonna view the votes for these really quickly. So the reason we wanted to use Zotero is, or what it is, it's an open source software for organizing your articles and references. So that means that you're never gonna have to pay for it. It's community supported, and you can take it with you wherever you go. It has many capabilities. You can sync online. You can share your citations. You can generate in-text citations. You can use it for bibliographies, and you can use it for footnotes. I can say that you can use it pretty heavily, or you can use it very lightly, depending on your use. And what I like about it a lot, which we'll go into a little bit, is that you can store your citations on the web, so you can have it in multiple computers, and have it at home, have it in the office, or while you're traveling. And the way I've used it is mostly in academic spaces for managing literature reviews or doing publications. You can also use it for report writing, grant writing, and to some extent you can use it for staying on top of a pediatric EMS research so that you can organize everything that comes in through your site or from our various partners. Is it HIPAA compliant? I see a question from Margot. If it's HIPAA compliant. It's just a reference citation management software, so it wouldn't necessarily, HIPAA wouldn't come into it. There's no PHI. It would just be a way of organizing your articles. So, and you'll see more as I do the demonstration of what I mean. But let me know, Margot, if after going through that process, you still have some questions. So the first thing we're gonna do is, if you can, go to Zotero.org. And Atem will be placing the links that I'll be exploring throughout this presentation. So the first thing you will want to do is you go to the download button. Depending on the computer that you're using, this little link right here will change to either Windows, Linux, or Mac. What you want to do is you want to download the file directly from here. Now, depending whether you work for, depending on the restrictions for your institution, at this point you might need to get permission from your IT department to actually get this installed. But it should probably pass with no problems. So once you have run that, so for our purposes, I went ahead and already installed it, so I can show you how it looks once you've installed it. So once you installed it, it will look simply like this. So we're not going to go into that right now. The next thing that you're going to want to install is called a Firefox Connector or a connector. You could think about the connectors as plugins. They're added to browsers, and they allow your browser to have an added functionality. You're definitely going to want to install that. I'll reinstall it just so you can see how it works. You can do this on Firefox or on Chrome with no problems, and the process is pretty much the same. So all you do is you say allow, you add here, and then this little box that comes up right here will will show that it's active. Before you move from this page, you have to make sure that your plugin, your connector, is talking to the desktop application. And the way I do that is when I'm going to be working on like citing, I always make sure that pardon here. I always make sure that Zotero standalone or the Zotero desktop application, I want to make sure that that's open. And then I want to, and then I go here, and what I like to do with the plugin is you right-click it. Well, if it allows you, you right-click it. It's not being friendly. Oh, there. Here you go. You right-click it and you press Preferences. And I like to go here and just press Update Status. And that should get you going. Later in the presentation, I'll show you how to set it up with the online account. If you already have the online account, you can just press Reauthorize. But we don't have to do that right now. Okay. So once you have your installation in place, you want to first test whether your Sottero connector or your plugin is working correctly with your standalone application. So for our first example, we're going to go to emsworld.com. So Atem will put that link on the chat. And in this instance, I'm going to just find a news article. Let's see here. Let's find something fun. And I did cheat a little bit, and I found one that I wanted to show. Okay, so I found here a recent article in the past week or so. American Red Cross issues emergency call for blood donations. So in order to bring this article in, all you have to do is click this button here. And then once it's saved, it closes out. So now it's saved. And if we want to check on our Sottero on our Sottero PC, we can see that the article was brought in. Now, since this is just a website, it only brought in the title. It showed that it was a web page. It showed that an abstract, if it's available, and it showed the URL. So the amount of information that can come into your Sottero depends on the the metadata that is available on that website. So academic journals or like journal articles are designed for that. So you're gonna bring in more rich information. But in this case, you can easily bring in a web page, and you have that now for your use. I would like to take a quick stop here. Any questions at this point? Because I'm going to keep going, but I wanted to make sure everyone's okay. I'll wait a minute or two. So Erica's asking a question on Chrome. If it looks any different on Chrome, it looks exactly the same. The plugins they're developed very similarly. Okay, I'm gonna keep moving forward. So a couple weeks ago in the EMSC post, they sent out a bunch of articles that were recently published in a special edition. These articles were by a lot of our colleagues, or so we have here Charles Macia, Catherine Remick, Andrea Genovesi, Hillary Hughes, Michael Ellie, Sean Caffrey. So if you haven't downloaded these articles, I would take an opportunity, because they are open access right now. So you can grab the articles and the PDFs. So this is in this situation, this is a journal publication where the information is a little more easily available. Now, if I wanted to grab all these articles and bring them and take them home with me, it changes into a folder structure. So that means that there's folders here. And it tells me what articles, it lets me select which articles I want. So in this case, let's say I wanted just these first two. I can press OK, and it can bring them in. This is a very special case where it works really well. So it brings in the article, and it also brought in the PDF, which is really nice. So then I can double check these that they were brought in correctly. I created a folder they're called collections in Zotero, called EMS Special Edition. And you can see that here is the one article that I brought in. And there's also the PDF that associated with that file. So now I have the abstract if I need it, the journal information if I need it, and the PDF that is associated with that. Now, if you recall in our EMS example or EMS World example, there was a lot less information, but in this case, it's a journal article, so you're able to bring in the volume number, the issue, the page number. It has the different authors, and they're all organized appropriately. So that's very helpful for when you're doing that kind of work. Sometimes, though, we can go back to the page. Let's say that you only wanted to bring in one article. So here is an article by Sean Caffrey, and you just want to bring in this article. In the same manner, you can go up here, but now this little icon changes to like little lines. That's usually signifies that it's a journal article. The same thing, you just press, and it brings it over, and you're only bringing in that article. So it allows for that flexibility. Now, sometimes you might not be able to bring in, you might want to bring it in a different way. So for this example, I'm going to go to pubmed.com or pubmed.gov, and that is really just a database that archives biomedical and life sciences articles. So a lot of articles that we may publish will probably end up in this place one time or another. So I know that Charles Macias, an EIC, that he publishes as Macias CG. So I'm going to look up what articles he has published in his academic record. So the first article that comes up here is an article called "The Effect of a Primary Care Provider Incentive Program on Pediatric Emergency Medical Visits." So you have when you get to this page, you have different options. You can continue to do the same thing that we did earlier and just press that button, which works perfectly. Or let's say that you wanted to bring it another way, you can bring in a file. So you go here, and you can either go to File or Citation Manager. Every type of database has a different way of doing this, but they all have a way of exporting this kind of file abstract. It's just a file that has all the information that you need to create the citation. So I'm going to say Citation Manager, and I'm just going to create the file. And it's going to save to wherever your downloads go. In my case, it's my downloads folder. So now I want to bring it into Sottero. So there's two ways of doing it. You can drag it in, or you can look for it. So I'm gonna bring in the file. This is the one that I just brought in, and I'm gonna place it there. And that's a very similar way of bringing the article. Now the problem with this approach is that sometimes you're not going to be able to bring in the PDF. If that's the case, you'll have to grab the article and look for it. So we're going to look for the article. We're going to look for the PDF, and it's this is going to depend a lot on your institutional access. So sometimes you might not have access to the PDF. You might just have access to the abstract, or another institution may have given you the article. So it might be that's why I would encourage you to actually download it or save it away. So I'm going to look for the article, and this way I'm going to show you the drag method so you can see it's the same idea. So you bring in the article and you put it right under. You put it right under. There it is. I created a duplicate, but you put it right under its home. So now you have the information that would allow you to create a proper bibliography or a reference, and you also have the article so that you can always reference when you need to. I'm going to backstep a few steps. Your Sottero by default will install on the C drive, so it will install on your PC. You can change that so that it installs on your network And the reason that you want to do that is that if your PC ever crashes, you can have it backed up on your network. So that's something to keep in mind. And we can always talk offsite of how exactly to do that, but that's a consideration. Because if you go here, if I ask it to show the file, you can see that it's on my C drive. So it doesn't matter because I have the online account, but that is something that I would keep in mind. Okay, let's now that we have now that you've brought in articles, one consideration is how you're going to organize it, how you're going to keep everything clean, and that's pretty important. So the way Sottero organizes information is he organizes in things called collections and sub-collections. You can call them groups or subgroups. So earlier I had brought in these articles that were part of that special edition. So you can see that they're being housed in this folder here. In addition, an article like this pediatric quality improvement in the pre-hospital, et cetera, can live in the collection, but it also lives up here in the My Library structure. So if you delete something here, so if I delete this here, it removes them from the collection, but the article's still here. So if I wanted to bring it back into the collection, I can just drag it here. And the reason for that is you might have an article that maybe is about EMSC disaster, but it is also about pediatric emergency. It may have multiple purposes. Or you might have a collection for a specific report that you're writing. So you might want to keep articles that are for that report in that purpose. Andrea?
So I use a similar program called EndNote, but I create subfolders of the different publications I make.
Mm-hmm.
So I might have an article in my EndNote, but in multiple different of those folders because I referenced it in those. So that's another way to think about how you could do it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's and sometimes and in general, within that same citation, you might have an article that is highlighted and an article that is a clean version. So an article that you're using for a specific report, so you have things that are like highlighted and annotated for that purpose. There's also an ability, which I'm not going to go into just for the sake of time. There's an ability to add notes to any article that you have. So these are notes that are based on whatever your findings were for that conversation. And when an article is submitted for publication, they usually add these tags. So let me see if any of them have them. Sometimes, nope. Apparently not. Nope. So sometimes they add tags. So you can add a tag here. You can say EMSC. And then later on, when you're searching for them, you can search by those tags. So there's different ways of organizing and keeping things tidy. There's a feature which I like a lot. It's called duplicate items. So sometimes you get the same article multiple times. You thought that you already had it, or you didn't think you had it, and guess what? You've downloaded it 5 times. So what Zotero does, it allows you to merge these items into one file. And now you've kind of cleaned house a little bit. So you might occasionally have to do that as you collect more information. So now let's get to the fun part, the reason that you're doing this. So the reason that you're doing all this is so that you can also ease like your ability to do report writing, to do literature reviews, and to easily create citations. So there's a couple of ways of doing this. So let's say that I wanted to use this article in a publication. All you have to do is you right-click it, you say create a bibliography from an item, and then it takes you to this option. Now, depending on the requirement of where you're submitting to or your institution's like style requirements, they might ask to do like American Psychological Association, Chicago Manual. It really varies. Sometimes it doesn't matter. It just you might have a preference as well. So in this case, I'm going to do APA. You can either bring in a citation. So what that means is the way it looks in text. So Bob is cool, Zamora 2018. Or a bibliography, Zamora, Bob is cool article. I'll show you. So let's just pick one. So we're going to do citation first. And we're going to copy to the clipboard because that seems to be the easiest. And then I'm going to open up the word processor here. and I'm going to paste that. So that's just bringing in the author and year. And that's based on how APA chooses to represent in-text citations. So let's say that I wanted to bring in the bibliography because I was going to put that as a reference page. So I go here, and this time I pick bibliography, and I press copy to clipboard. And then I can just paste that there. So now I have the whole citation with the name of the article, the journal it belongs to, volume, issue, page, and the DOI or the URL that corresponds to that. There's also a way, which I'm not going to go into today, as you can tell we have like 7 minutes left here. There's a way of like integrating this with your word processor, either Google Docs or Word. We're going to put that URL on the chat so that you can see for yourself and like you can try that out. I would be happy to show you that offline, but it's a little more buggy, I would say. And finally, okay, so let's say that after all this, you don't want to do any of this work. It's too much work. So an easier way of doing this is this new feature that came out probably like in the last couple of weeks. So let's say that for this article, you just needed the citation or the bibliography. All you do is you type in the URL or what is called a DOI, which is a unique identifier. You press cite, and like magic, you get your article down here. If you have a specific requirement, like let's say that you need to do APA, then you're able to generate that. You're able to generate that bibliography as well. So this is a new feature. Another similar one is called Citation Machine. I think this one's a little easier and it's a little faster. So that's something that you can use as an alternative if you don't want to download any software today and you just want a quick reference. And I have a few minutes, so I'm going to just show you last couple things here. If you are going to use this for your daily use, what I would suggest is that you create a login. So I created one for this project, for this TechTalk. I called it Easy EMSE. The reason that you want to do that is let's say that I'm done for the day, I'm going home, but then I need the article sometime at 6 o'clock in the afternoon or on the weekend, or I'm not in front of my computer. I can go on here on the Sottero website and all my articles have been uploaded, all my citations. In addition, all my PDFs have also been synced up. The only consideration, which I think it's important to talk about, is that you have a free plan of 300 megabytes, and then if you need a lot more data, you do have like a plan. 2 gigabytes costs $20, 6 gigabytes cost $60, and unlimited is $120. That's still pretty reasonable. I think with 300 megabytes, you can still do a lot. And you don't necessarily need to have your PDFs in there, but it does help. The other portion which really helps with the work that we do, where it requires a lot of national collaboration and requires a lot of partners across the state, is to set up these groups. So the way I can think about groups, I'll make one really quick. So a group is set up so that you can share articles and you can control whether people can edit those articles. But it's helpful. An example would be, let's say that you have a new advisory board member and you need to brief him or her on the 5 articles that are really important in your field or in this area of work. You can create a group for them. So in this case, I'll call this test group, and I'll make it just open just for now. Oop, apparently can't do test group. Okay, EMSE tests. Okay, we'll create the group. And then I say make it open, and I'll say anyone can do anything they want. But you can be more restrictive. I'm just being nice right now. So we go back to groups, and now we have this group here that has no members. But what you can do is we go back to Sottero, and now a new group library has connected. I can bring in this article on pediatric quality improvement and put it right under there. And then if you go back to the website, and this is a little fast, so I apologize. It takes a second. It's all slow. It's still uploading. Okay, it's synced. So now let's do it again. Now you see that my article is there. And you can also associate the PDF. So that's really helpful when you really want to keep maybe certain groups updated with certain articles that are important to you. And you can control the access that you need. So that was all I really wanted to show you. I'm going to put one last link, which has the support website for Zotero. That really shows you a lot of the other features, or that's really what I based this presentation on, but it also has other features that I really didn't get into today. We're always happy to talk about it and like show you how to set it up in your computer. Any questions in the last 2 minutes or last couple minutes? Seems like Renee is typing and Margot's typing. Renee, yes, we can talk offline, and we can talk about how to set up. If you get through the IT restrictions, you're able to access it pretty easily and install it. But I can definitely support you.
Okay, well, we're getting the last of the questions. For next month, we will not have a Tech Talk in February because it overlaps with the workshop that we have set up. But we will be back in March with another Tech Talk. So just feel free to let us know. It looks like Margot may be still asking a question. We'll let her ask that, and then we'll finish up.
So Margot's asking, I find myself reaching back out to NEDARC and saying, what resource had X, Y, and Z? Would this be a library, or is this really extensive library on EIC websites? I would very much like all publications to be organized.
So, Margot, I can answer a little bit of that. The EIC is working on creating a one location for articles related to EMSC, and you can reach out to them. I don't know exactly what format it's going to be in.
Yes, Fatima, we're always taking suggestions for future workshops. You can always reach out to your TA, and they can, I'll kind of be managing that. So you can always email Braden Green, and our info is on the NEDARC website. As well, you can reach out to your TA and let them know, and they can reach out to me and let me know what suggestions you have. So yeah, we're certainly always looking for possibilities, things that you'd like to learn in these Tech Talks. So we will go ahead and finish up. This was recorded, and we will be posting it on our website. We'll send out a link as well to everybody if you'd like to go back through it and follow along once you have it downloaded or whatever the case may be. You'll be able to do that. And again, we will not have a Tech Talk in February, but we will have one in March. Sorry about that. And we'll let you know ahead of time on that. So thanks for attending, and let us know if you have any other questions. Thanks.
I'm going to go ahead and disable the microphone right now, and we're going to hang up the telephone, but you can still keep typing and stuff if you would like.